Welcome into Keys to the Crown, presented by Crown Royal, joined by NFL Network's Marcas Grant. I'm Erin Summers. We are in week 14. Lots of teams on bye. There's 6 teams out this week. Marcas, what are your biggest concerns for this week, and how are you going to fill?
Well, it's a rough week. The NFL did us no favors in fantasy because this is the last week of the fantasy regular season for a lot of leagues. So a lot of teams are trying to make the playoffs. Not only do you have 6 teams on a bye, like you mentioned, we had a ton of injuries this past week. I think the biggest need for teams is going to be running back. So this is going to be a week where you're going to have to hit the waiver wire hard. Guys like James Cook, Bam Knight, DJ Dallas, Cam Akers, all very much in play. It's not going to be a very attractive group of running backs out there, but I think in a week like this, you're just more concerned about filling spots with guys who can potentially be productive.
We talked about this last week a little bit with some of the injuries, but offenses right now, with a lot of the quarterbacks out, as you mentioned, a lot of key offensive players in general out. How do you kind of evaluate which offenses to go with and which players to go with?
Well, I think right now you're very much looking in terms of players in general. You're just sort of looking at schedules for the next few weeks. And, there are some teams that have really good, favorable schedules based on the position. I'm looking, for instance, at Tennessee, right? It seems unfair. Anybody who has Derrick Henry, because he's one of the best running backs in the league and he's got an amazing schedule. I look at Mike White, who's taken over as the quarterback for the Jets. He might not get excited about the Jets. They got a really good schedule. So Mike White might be a guy that you can plug in. Plus, there are just guys that look like they're starting to get more opportunity. I mentioned James Cook in Buffalo, Brian Robinson in Washington, guys like that who seem to be getting more touches lately and could play a role down the stretch, especially as the weather gets colder and teams maybe are hesitant to throw the ball a little more.
You talked about matchups for people that are streaming defenses. What's one that you like this week?
Well, I would always pick the defense that's playing the Houston Texans. That's sort of the number one option right there. I would also try, I think it's the Kansas City Chiefs, actually, I believe, this week. But, the Raiders, who haven't necessarily been a great defense, but they get the Rams this week, and the Rams have been struggling offensively with a ton of injuries. So I think those are a couple there. I think right now, if you've got the Dallas Cowboys, actually, it's the Cowboys, now that I think about it, that play the Houston Texans this week. So they've got a great matchup. The Philadelphia Eagles have been good. So there are some defenses that if you have them, hold on to them tightly because they may carry you through the postseason.
Great insight. As always, Marcas, we appreciate you so much. This has been Keys to the Crown, presented by Crown Royal.